Du damals om min komplet is een sledge. Dan had ik mama en een wind.
Hoes mad.
What's good? This is your boy Tico Tren, and this is going to be a live stream. Haven't done one of these in a while. I got to get back to doing them most definitely. I've been busy with business and stuff like that, but I plan on getting back to live streams because I know there's a lot of people who like me doing live streams, so I'll definitely be getting back to that. Thank you for the one viewer that just rolled in, even though I know it's Win first on the scene. Thank you, Win, for showing up. But this video is basically this live stream is basically going to be about the psychology. Hello, good sir. How are you doing today? Also, Chris Mitchell. This video is going to be about the psychology of dating. Because apparently, for those of you who don't know, every video that I do from the time I started back up doing videos till now is all basically, and from here on out, basically all request videos. So people bring me these, or they'll say something in the comment section, and then I turn it into a video, basically. Short or long, live stream or not, basically. It all gets turned into a video. So basically, a lot of the ideas are literally coming from my comment section or emails and stuff along the lines of that, for that matter. But I'm going to start doing live streams again because apparently a lot of people have been bugging me and telling me, you need to do live streams. You need to do live streams. When are you going to do live streams? So I've been getting a lot of that lately. I'm sorry. I'm back. I got free time now. We can do this. But this video, the topics to this video are basically going to be the expectations, the fantasies, the psychology of both men and women, divorce, marriage, engagement, dating, and asking them out, basically. So this is going to pretty much encompass relationships in general. Excuse me. Damn, my voice is cracking. This is going to encompass the whole entire aspect of relationships at the end of the day. So this is going to be from relationships from start to finish, the actual mindset of both the male and the female, stuff along the lines of this. So this will be informative for a lot of people, especially people who are in relationships that are wondering why they're banging their head against the wall with the women that they're in a relationship with. And the same goes for if there's any women that happen to venture in here, they'll get to hear the man's mental space on why they're banging their head against the wall, sadly. I would like to start by saying, typically when it comes to relationships and it comes to men are basically the same from start to finish. Men never really change unless they're manipulated into change, or, the woman that they're with egg them on for change, stuff along the lines of that. Typically, men stay the same from start to finish. So you basically know the product that you're getting at the beginning, and you know the product that you're getting at the end. The question is, did you happen to pay attention to any of the flags that you're not okay with now that you want a divorce? Were you paying attention to those same flags at the beginning, at the end of the day? That's the problem that a lot of women seem to don't understand or get when it comes to relationships. It just doesn't fall out of nowhere. They were always there. A man never changes. A man's always the same man from the beginning. If he's sweet talking you and he's doing all this stuff and he's smooth as hell, 9 times out of 10, there's a lot of shit to hide. Basically like you in makeup. There's a lot of shit to hide when it comes to a man. If he's that smooth, he's that satisfying, and he's just like basically like James Bond. If they're just that damn smooth, or a pickup artist, basically, is the best way to put it. If they're that smooth, if they're a little too smooth for their own good, then there's probably something wrong. There's probably something hiding beneath that. The sad part about that, like I said, if a man's smooth, like a woman applying makeup to her fucking skin because she knows she's a hot mess, there's something wrong with that. So think of it like this: when you meet a smooth man, when women meet a smooth man, think of it like you applying your makeup so you can hide any of your imperfections. All it really is. All that stuff is basically a nice way to hide stupid, shallow stuff, basically, at the end of the day, whether we all like it or not. We may not like it. It hurts to hear it. People get their feelings hurt when I say it, but it's the truth. Whether we all like it or not, that's basically all it really is and all it would ever be. A smooth talking person is basically nothing more than a woman with makeup, or a woman with a push-up bra, or a woman with lip injections. That's basically what a smooth talking man is equivalent to. All that stuff that I just named for women: makeup, push-up bra, butt lifters, butt shaper, all this shit basically to basically describe it to you. That's the best way I can describe it to you, sadly. So anytime you meet somebody like that, you're going to want to question it. The same thing goes for women. If you don't get to see her without makeup, or she always got to do extra stuff so she look pretty before you see her, there's a problem with that. At the end of the day, when it comes down to it, this is for any men out there in a dating market. This is for any men out there in the dating market. And I'm going to say this, and it's going to hurt a lot of women's feelings. Anytime a woman applies makeup, she's not doing it for you. She's doing it for her own self, her own insecurities, and her own imperfections. She's not applying it because she wants to look good for you. She's applying it because she thinks she's not attractive enough to do it. You'll be amazed on how many well-attractive women are very insecure about themselves at the end of the day. There's a shit ton of women that are very insecure. Hell, even some of the best Twitch thoughts are some of the most insecure people in the whole entire world. Let me add this also. A lot of the Twitch thoughts on Twitch, they're nauseating to talk to too, and try to hold a whole entire conversation with. Don't get me wrong, there are a couple that I will hold a whole entire conversation with, or that I will debate with, or I will have in a stream that has some decent intellect, but there's a majority of them now I wouldn't even want to hold a whole entire conversation with. There's just no. And that's me keeping it 100. At the end of the day, when it comes down to it, you basically know what you're getting if you're a woman and you're dating a man. You basically know what you're getting at the end of the day. There's always red flags there. Problem is with women, they don't pay attention to gut instinct. If it looks good, if it looks like eye candy, and it looks like, your friends will be jealous of that eye candy, you're going to want to date it. That's typically how it works with women. They can't say, well, I did it for the personality. No, because I'm sorry. Tinder, Bumble, all those places, you don't get to see the personality. You get to see a picture. And the sad part about that, women are less likely to read bios than men are. Women are less likely to read a bio than a man is. Let's just keep it 100. Women are more likely to read a bio. It could be the most sickening bio in the whole entire world, and they can ignore the bio if the picture looks nice. Like I said, if basically women like eye candy, basically. Women like eye candy more than men like eye candy. Men like looking at eye candy, but typically men don't date eye candy. They date what they know they can get. They date pretty much within their means or within their... Typically, here's how men date. Men date 2 above, same level, and 2 below. That's how men date. That's exactly how men date, typically. Women date above. They never date down. They never date equal. They date above. The neat thing about a lot of the men that a lot of these women date is 9 times out of 10, they look good. Do a lot of them have jobs? No, they just look good. Do some of them make them feel good about themselves? Yeah, no, but they look good to them, sadly. The sad part about that is men, like I said, they date. Men are more reasonable when it comes to dating. They date 2 above their sexual market value. They date the same as their sexual market value, and they date 2 below their sexual market value. So there's no woman alive that can literally say that she can't find a man at the end of the day. There's not a woman alive. Because women don't date down. They don't date equal. They date up. And they typically, depending on what number they are, they believe they... Case in point. If a woman's about a 6, 5, 4, they typically are trying to date 8, 9, 10. It's typically how it works. It's the nature of the beast. It really is the nature of the beast. And it sucks. But that's typically how that works. That's always how it's worked. That's always how it's been. You want the man that can provide the most for you. I get that. You want the man that, that makes your friends jealous. You want the man, when you take a picture with them, you want everybody to be the envy of the office or the conversation at the end of the day. And there's gonna be some women that'll say, "Well, no, that's not what I want. I want to be happy and love." No, what you want is selfish. You want somebody who can make everybody else jealous. If what you're saying was true, why do you have to show off your ring? Why does your ring have to be a certain size or a certain rock or certain carats or certain this or certain that, just so you can show it off to everybody? Sad part about that is they don't just show it off to friends and family. They show it off at work. They show it off at school. They show it off to the pastor, the pope, the bishop, the priest, the store man, the clerk, the line person, the everybody. They show it off to everybody. Everybody's got to see it. And if they're on social media, they got to see the stuff, despite the fact that don't nobody really want to see the stuff. And you got to say, "Oh, isn't that so cute?" Because true story when it comes to women. There's this woman that's in a relationship. There's these two women. They're both friends. They're both best friends, supposedly. They're both best friends. Now, the one friend just found a relationship. Praise to her. Good job. Don't fuck it up, basically. Don't fuck it up. You found a man that's willing to deal with your bullshit. Don't fuck it up, basically. That's all I got to say to that person, because I don't think that relationship is going to last that long, because I think she's going to fuck it up. I'm just keeping it 100. She's going to fuck it up. That guy's a nice guy. He's doing everything in his power to make it work. She's fucking it up, basically. That's typically how women are in relationships. They're always going to fuck up good things. But that's enough of that. Their relationship's been going on for a while, and this woman, you notice a change in this. I've actually talked about this in various videos, where you notice a change in her personality, her character, and she's happier, and everybody's noticing how happy she is. Okay, cool. So they're noticing her happiness, and everybody's, "Oh, you look so happy. You're so happy that, oh, since he's been in your life, you're so happy. This, that, and the other, this, that, and the other." Okay, cool. Fast forward to her friend. Now, her friend says this to her, but her friend's a bit jealous of her because her relationship is going a lot better than her relationships ever went, from the beginning till now, at the end of the day. So now, mind you, backstory on a friend. Backstory on a friend of this woman who's happy. She's actually in a relationship where she has a boyfriend, and he beat her ass. Beat the hell out of her. Went to jail. Tagged along on a trip with her best friend to Atlantic City. Ocean City, Atlantic City, wherever the hell they went. Okay, cool. So she could feel good about not being home alone, and her boyfriend, her who put her boyfriend in jail, who whooped her ass. It is what it is. What's up, King of Lions? This is typically how this stuff is working. So they went on the trip. They did all this stuff. What's up, Pastor $40? They went on this stuff. They did all this other stuff. They basically are on this trip. Okay, cool. So they get back from this trip. They go back to work together. About not too long after they're back, about a couple months to a year. I don't know the exact details of the story, but a couple months to a year, her boyfriend gets out of jail. This woman's on her job. She left her job and left all her work and bought it all back for somebody else to do, all because her boyfriend came home from jail. The one that beat her ass, the one that guy, yeah, that one. So backstory on that one. That's her story. So fast forward to now, the woman, her friend, is in a relationship. She is low-key jealous of her friend who is in a relationship, and her relationship is going good. She tries to find any reason to pick apart her best friend's boyfriend, because he can't be the greatest thing since sliced bread, because her relationship is not the greatest thing since sliced bread. This is typically how women look, act, and think, basically. So you got to destroy that person's partner and for all intents and purposes. So she gets engaged to this man who whooped her ass. Okay, cool. Now she sends out a text message, like all women do, to her best friends, so she can get some praise, some validation, and some attention on the fact that she got a ring. Now, I looked at the ring. I seen the ring. It's not the greatest thing since sliced bread. I get it. He couldn't afford to do any better, but she got a ring. Is it real? No, it's not real. for the cost that it is, unless he hawked it from somebody, is not real. Probably Cuban zirconia at best. But she went to go show it off to everybody, sadly. Her friend, who's in a relationship with her new boyfriend, was talking to her boyfriend about it, and she never congratulated or responded on it or anything. Her boyfriend told me, because we cool like that. Her boyfriend told me that apparently her and her friend's upset with her because she never commented on her ring. This is the psychology of women. She never commented on her ring. Her friend never commented on her ring. So now that whole entire day, they weren't talking to each other because her ring wasn't commented on. Now, the irony to it is, just like a woman, apparently her boyfriend, her friend's boyfriend was there to, be supportive of his girlfriend. I don't know why he is. He's just a dumb motherfucker. But, but yeah, apparently when she came back from where she was doing her thing, and she's seen her friend, she basically did the typical woman thing where she tries to show it off by like putting it against her face, or resting it in people's face basically, or eye shot, or try to fold her hands in a way where you have to see the ring in your freaking face. Apparently, so she's trying to basically get everybody to acknowledge her ring. Basically, she's trying to get all the praise and admiration for this ring. The sad part about that, the reason why her friend never praised her for the ring, according to the boyfriend, who is my friend, he said, and I quote, she wants to get engaged to a dude who whooped her ass. She wants to get engaged to a dude who uses drugs. She wants to get engaged after cheating on that man, after he cheated on her and she cheated on him, and he just found out not too long before giving her this ring. This monkey simp motherfucker literally gave her a ring after finding out she cheated on him with a dude for about a year. Like, think about that for a second. Think about it for a hot second. Just think about that. He cheated on her for almost a year. I mean, she cheated on him for almost a year, and this monkey simp is giving her a ring. She's already a single mother with 2 kids. One kid don't like her and runs away from home. Oh, well, look at that. Statistics popping right back up right there. Okay, cool. So that's what you got going on in women's head, basically. And this is leading up into relationships. The sad part about that is this dude was met online. Now, I know a lot of women who met guys online through like either video games or some online bullcrap, basically dating, let it be whatever the heck, or Facebook, basically, or social media. This is typically how a lot of women meet the guys that they are in relationships with, sadly, because none of them have the actual skills to actually go out and actually get a person nearby. They have to get people from far and wide to actually come in and deal with their bullshit. Because typically, I look at it like this. If you're a guy from another state, another city, and a woman can't seem to find a guy within her own city, her own town, her own state, there's a problem with that woman. It's not a problem with the guys. It's a problem with that woman at the end of the day. So what I usually say is, if a woman's having a problem being in a relationship or being in a successful relationship, typically there's something wrong with that woman. It's kind of like my saying on women who are beautiful, but they're single. If a woman is beautiful, but they're single, there's a man somewhere that got tired of her shit. Word travel fast, and nobody wants to deal with her shit. Or typically, that's typically women in a nutshell. Nobody wants to deal with their shit, basically. This is why they can't find men in their immediate area. This is why they need apps like Bumble, Tinder, all these other craziness, because men in their immediate area know that they're full of shit, know that they ain't shit, know that they don't have shit to offer but strife and things like that. So if you're a man from another state, you're going to want to avoid women online in a whole nother city or a whole nother state, because that means they got a lot of access baggage and shit that they didn't deal with themselves. Now, I will say this when it comes to stuff like that. If I've ever had any trauma in my life, or if I ever had any strife or trauma or anything that can actually impede me from growing as a human being, I would typically go deal with it in any way, shape, or form so I could be successful in my life. That's typically how I do it. That's how some other men do it. That's how most logical, sane people do it. But that's not how women do it. And even women who say they do it, they typically do the thing where they talk to their friends, or they tell the psychologist, you don't know what you're talking about, or they don't divulge all the information to the psychologist or therapist so that the therapist can get a complete picture of the woman. Because at the end of the day, even to psychologists, they want to look the best. They want to present the best image of themselves to even psychologists and therapists at the end of the day. It's sad, but it's true. Not just, the future partner, but they have this mindset where they got to portray themselves in the best light, even to people that are professionals who's been doing it for years. And the sad part about that is I've actually had the pleasure and been blessed to actually meet a woman like this in my clinicals. And I go, well, obviously you're hiding something or you got roadblocks. No, you don't know what you're talking about, sir. You're assuming stuff that's not true. No. The funny thing about it is, if you know anything about me, I always talk about microexpressions and body language and stuff like that. I learned to do it. I learned to read it. I learned to understand microexpressions and stuff like that. So I can typically tell if a person is lying to me if they're sitting in front of me. Hell, if you're on a phone with me, I could tell if you're lying to me based on the inflections in your voice. The rise and fall of your voice are the inflections in your voice, sadly. It's typically how it is. I'm a dick like that. So I typically know that this person is lying for one or two reasons. One, microexpressions are telling on her like a motherfucker. Well, microexpressions are lighting up like the dummy from Three Ninjas, basically. Or another one. Microexpressions are lighting up on her face, basically like, lights on a dashboard when you keep on ignoring them of a car. So they're just lighting up all over the place, and I could tell she's lying to me. I could tell she's telling bull-faced lies. This is typically how this works. The sad part about that is at the end of the day, even to professionals, women want to present themselves in a light where they don't look like they're the bad guy or they look like they're the victim, sadly. Even when a psychologist knows that this woman's not the victim, or they know that she's not in the camp of right, they typically just let it roll and they typically just go with them and let it slide. The sad part about that. There's better psychologists that'll probably try to pick it apart or, prod a little bit deeper to understand it. And women hate that when people prod deeper to understand the decision-making skills. The sad part about that, when it comes to women's decision-making skills, it's not the best. Understand where it comes from, but it's not the best. And it's a lot of the times the reason why they're in the messes that they're in, sadly. It's kind of like that hindsight 2020 thing. It's basically how they get themselves into the messes that they're in, sadly. And a lot of women do this, and there's not a woman who doesn't. Even the women that say I'm not like that or talk about other women that are like that, they do the same damn thing too. I know a lot of women that are like that. Hell, case in point, the woman that my friend is dating right now, even though she's not like her friend, and she claims she doesn't like attention. She claims she doesn't want attention, but the sad part about that is she likes her attention in a different way, just as much as her friend likes her attention, sadly. The sad part about that is we always try to paint it in a way to this is the problem with a lot of people. They try to paint themselves in a way to make it seem as if they're not like other people, or they try their damnedest to make it seem as if. The sad part about that, if you talk to a woman long enough, shit starts falling out. That's not supposed to fall out. And I'm not talking about body parts and stuff like that. That typically falls out too. But we're talking about, pieces of their character start actually falling out once you start, diving deep into them and get past the surface. This is typically why we always say women bring their representatives. This is why women always send their representatives. The sad part about that, guys really don't have a representative. Their representative is basically them showing up, paying for the date, driving a nice car, or trying to keep the woman's attention. This is the fundamental difference between representatives when it comes to dating. Woman's representative is not the person you were talking to on the phone. It's the person covered in makeup, butt shapers, everything to make her look attractive and appealing at the end of the day. That's a woman's representative. she'll misspeak on herself, or she'll try to lie in a way where she can keep it somewhat to the truth. So when you want to question something, it seems like it's legit, basically. Or if you don't listen enough to a woman, you'll miss the little the facts that she just lied to you. It's typically how it works. So women try to spin it in a way to make it seem like it's truth when it's really not true. A man's representative on a date, this is the only thing a man gets on as a representative: the car he rolled up in, the clothes he's wearing, and the dinner and restaurant that he took her to. That is a man's representative. That is a man's representative. And how smooth he was when he was talking to you. That's a man's only representative. It's basically like, it'd be no different than if I was to tell Wynn or Lion that I found this one restaurant. Niggas, y'all gotta try this out. Y'all gotta try this out. I'm pay for this, that, and the other. They all show up. We all show up. We're all representatives. You see what I'm saying? We all show up at this restaurant to meet so I can pay for this. We're all representatives, basically. Lion showed up in his car. Wayne showed up in his truck or his car. I showed up in either my Challenger or Volvo. That's pretty much all we have for representatives as a man. That's all it really is. So when they say, well, everybody sends a representative, no, men basically send what they have. All they have at their disposal. Typically a car, some nice clothes, and what was presented in front of them. That's all a man really has. It is what it is. So you can't sit up here and tell me men are complicated when in fact only thing we have to represent ourselves is the vehicle we rolled up in, the clothes we're wearing, and the restaurant or space that we took you on a date. Only representatives we have. The only representatives we have. Men really don't have anything to represent themselves or make themselves look any better. Unless that motherfucker's using a photo from 1960 when he's in high school, he really doesn't have anything to actually represent himself. Now, the sad part about that is I talk about that and some women will say, well, yeah, he probably did that. Well, no. Women are more likely to do that than men are. Case in point, I work for a lab. The lab director is about damn near 100. She uses a photo from when she was in college. She's in college in this photo. Every single time you see a photo or anything pertaining to her with a photograph, it's from when she was in college. Now, I'm going to tell you this. She was in college before I was born. I'm in my 30s. I'm in my late 30s going on my early 40s. She was in college before I was born. Let's just put it that way. I'll even be nice and say when I was 2 or 3, she was in college. I am now damn near 40. That's how long ago this picture was taken. I'll let that swirl around in your head for a little bit and think about that for a second. Talk about representatives, right? She's presenting photos from when she was in college. From when I was like 2, maybe 3 years old. We'll say 3, 4 years old. We'll say I was a toddler at the time when she was in college. We'll say anywhere between 1 and 5 to give her the benefit of the doubt. We'll just give her the benefit of the doubt. I'm damn near 40. That's how old that photo is. Think about that for a second when it comes to the women you deal with. We already seen a video where there's a woman with no teeth with hella bad skin, really put her teeth in and did her makeup on Hammerhand's channel and a few other people's channel just to look beautiful. That is a representative of who that person is. It'd be like, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, when it comes to dating, women have the best PR reps. Period. Men don't have the greatest PR reps. Unless you have your friend, unless you pay somebody to announce your arrival, or you have a interest music like you're in a WWE, you really don't have a representative. You see what I'm saying? like I said, unless you have somebody that introduces you before you walk in a room, or you have some WWE style theme music when you walk in a room, you really don't have a representative at the end of the day as a man. Your only representative is the car you rolled up in, the clothes you're wearing, in the space in which you took this woman to. That is your only representatives as a man. And how well you were to communicate, or how, and oh yeah. Also, on top of that, because I really don't think talking to somebody is really a representative, but how well you how well you did to communicate or to articulate to her that you're an attractive person and she should be on a date with. That's about it. I'll give you the talking thing too. So those are typically the only thing you have at your disposal as a man. Women have everything at their disposal and more. The sad part about that is the same thing you took on a date and the same thing you see waking up in the morning is two totally different things. Sadly, what you see on that date is not how she wakes up the next day. Now, I will say this. There are a lot of women that will sleep in their makeup. I will say that. I know a lot of women that do. I know women that complain about forgetting to take off their makeup and staying in their pillowcases at work. It is what it is at the end of the day. The sad part about that is when it comes down to it, this is what you're dealing with. This is exactly what you're dealing with, sadly. You're dealing with people that are that want to present themselves in the best light. They want to look as youthful, as pretty, as young, as supple as humanly possible. That's basically women's mindset when on a date. And they never want you to see any imperfections. The sad part about that, a woman can tell you all day, that you're seeing the real her. The sad part about that is you don't get to see the real her until she does some neurotic, crazy shit, basically. That's when you get to see the real her. You want to see the real her? You want to see the real her? Visit her at her house with her children. See how she interacts with her children. See how her children interacts with her. You'll get a real view of what's going on in her head, her mind, in her household, and how she runs it, sadly, at the end of the day. Because typically, women do stuff like that. That's how women act and think at the end of the day. And this is basically the beginning. This is the beginning of the relationship, basically. This is like you're asking her out. You're asking her out, basically. This is the asking out portion of a relationship, basically. This is what you get. This is all you have as a man and as a representative. The sad part about that is you as a man are fooled into thinking that this person is this great, beautiful person, basically, when in fact it was a lot of makeup that got her there. It was a lot of dressing and picking clothing that contours our body so you can't see our imperfections at the end of the day. Does work go into it? Oh, hell yeah, a lot of work goes into it. But the sad part about that is at the end of the day, it's not for you. It's their own insecurities in their mind on why they do all this stuff to prepare for a date. The sad part about that is at the end of the day, I don't give a damn what woman any woman would tell you. Oh, well, I believe that a man should pay for a date because I got all beautiful for him. No, the hell she didn't. She got all beautiful because she happened to walk past the mirror and realize. And here's the thing when it comes to internal struggles of women. She walked past the mirror, seen something and she didn't like, so she has to fix it at the end of the day. That's exactly a woman in a nutshell. She seen some shit that she didn't like, so she has to correct it so you don't see that shit that she didn't like. The sad part about that is men really don't pay attention to the subtle things or the little things that women find as imperfections in or wrong, basically, at the end of the day. When a man does get to see it, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, that's actually pretty refreshing and different, and it actually sets her apart from other people. That's the neat thing about men. When they see an imperfection, they see it and they go, well, yeah, that actually is what makes you attractive versus all these other women. While you're too busy trying to run around here looking like female stands, some shadies, men actually like things that actually set you apart from other women. Because if you look like all the other women, then he can pretty much treat you like all the other women. If you know what I mean, psychologically. That's typically how this stuff works. You can't sit up here and say, well, I don't understand why he goes to me because you act like all the other women. Or you look like all the other women. You have nothing that sets you apart from any other woman. You do the exact same thing. You talk the same way. You talk the same slick stuff. You do all the same things. You basically drink at the same damn stores. You buy from the same damn stores. You act the same damn way. You use all the damn talking points. And the sad part about that is you expect to be seen as different from other women. He ghosted you because you sounded like everybody else. You're no different than everybody else. And the neat thing about it, when it comes down to it, is another fact about women. They hate to be compared to other women. And if they are going to be compared to other women, they better be better than that other woman. This is basically the psychology of women. I'm literally laying out the psychology of women for you. Sadly. This is literally the psychology of women. If you do compare a woman to another woman, she better be better than that other woman. She better be cooler than that other woman. She better be funnier than that other woman. She better be sexier than that other woman. She better be more attractive than that other woman. She better have more things than that other woman. She better be on more trips than that other woman. She better do everything more than that other woman, sadly. Because women are in competition with other women and other men. At the end of the day. Women have always been competitive, but we always mark them down as the not so competitive sex, when in fact they're the most competitive people in the world. There's literally, I shit you not, there's this one friend I used to have that I pretty much X'd out of my life. Her name was Barb. She was competitive as fuck. She's competitive as fuck. She's competitive to other women. She's competitive to men. She's just competitive as fuck. Now, the sad part about that is that's not an endearing quality, and that's not really an attractive quality when it comes to a man. Being competitive, unless you're a weak beta man, being competitive is not an attractive quality to men. Unless you're a beta man, unless you're dealing with a beta man or a delta man or any other man, basically outside of the general things. Being strong and opinionative is fundamentally different from being a bitch. You can be strong and opinionative, but there's a fine line between being strong and opinionative and being a bitch. Most women are bitches. They act like bitches. They bitch a lot. They talk shit. They bitch a lot, sadly. There's only few women that I've ever talked to and listened to where they're actually being strong and opinionative. Whereas the rest of them are just bitching and being bitches towards other women and other people, sadly. Like, there's a way you can go about, if something's wrong with your food, there's a way you can go about it and not look like a bitch. There's a way you can go about it and look like a bitch. Just because your food is off and you tell somebody off who didn't prepare your food doesn't make you strong and opinionated. That makes you a bitch. And I can't date people, nor can I sit on the other side of the table with somebody who would disrespect somebody who prepares their food. One thing you should never do. Never fuck with the people who fucked with your food, who made your food. That's literally biting the hand that feeds you at that moment in time. Because that motherfucker may not take it well. They may take it back to the cook, tell them exactly what you did and said, and then that cook in the kitchen will fuck you over royally. That's not strong in opinion. That's not strong and opinionated. That's being a bitch to somebody. Now, like me, if somebody fucks up my food, this is typically how I'll handle it. Excuse me, miss. I asked for medium rare. This is not medium rare. It's well done, and I'm not really vibing with the whole entire thing. Can you check this for me? You can even bite into it if you want to. Take a piece of it and bite into it and check it, basically. But yeah, this is not to my liking. I'm not trying to start anything, but I don't know if it was ordered wrong, or I don't know if the line cook might have gave me somebody else's steak or something along the lines of that. I know they're busy in the back. He might have gave me somebody else's steak by accident, stuff like that. Can you go back and check for me, please? Irony to it is, typically I get better results. The sad part about that is the difference between that approach and the bitch approach is the chef will literally come out himself and give me my steak. The chef usually comes out with the bitch on a hot plate, still sizzling, Talk about, I'm sorry about that, and mix up in the back. Yeah, I did make a mistake. I gave you somebody else's steak. This motherfucker will even use the excuse that I gave him to apologize for the steak that I got. Legit. Apologize. And he'll literally come out by himself and he'll apologize to me. And he goes, I hope this one is to your liking, this, that, and the other. The actual chef, the actual freaking chef literally comes out and says this to me. Anytime my stuff is ever messed up. You see the difference between how people handle things? There's a difference between being strong and opinionative and being a bitch. I wasn't a bitch. I literally gave all types of outs. I thought about all the conclusions that could possibly happen for this to be on my table and not in front of somebody else. Legit. Sadly. But a woman like, that's not strong and opinionative. That's you being a bitch. You running your mouth and getting an attitude with the server is you being a bitch. Me explaining why this could possibly had went wrong in what ways or shapes or forms this could have went wrong, and understanding the situation, understanding how busy the kitchen is, gets me better results than you. Like, think about that. The actual chef, came out from the back and delivered my steak to me. You probably got some shit that got drug across the floor. Doused in a bucket, drug across the floor, some pube hairs on it, and it's delivered to your table now. And now you're eating it. All because you were a bitch. I'm just keeping it 100. Difference between being strong and opinionative and being a bitch, sadly. A lot of people try to wrap the strong and opinionative. A lot of people try to wrap being a bitch as being strong and opinionative when in fact it is what it is. You did it, you stepped in it, you fucked up. Good examples of being strong and opinionative is the two friends again, as women. Now, the one friend is an enabler, like a motherfucker. She enables this goofy bitch to do and say anything she wants. The sad part about that is the one chick's boyfriend was telling me recently that this girl literally complained that she was on the phone with her boyfriend and she didn't respond to her calls. Now, to me, if you listen to that, to me, as a boyfriend, I'd be like, okay, are you fucking this woman now? What you mean she's upset with me, you being on the phone with me? We're fucking. We're dating. Like, the fuck's your problem? What the fuck you mean? Like, me as a man, I'd be like, okay, obviously y'all fucking. Because there's no way in hell you can sit here and tell me that she's this bent out of shape, that you're talking to me, and you happen not to call her. For her to be this bent out of shape, either y'all are fucking, or she's very petty and she's very jealous. That's just me. But I let my friend do him, and I basically told him that sounds like either that woman is jealous, or she's jealous, or they fucking. Jealous and petty, or they fucking. That's all it really is. That's all it would ever be. It sucks, but you got to talk to your girlfriend about that because obviously, you know, and apparently he did, and he came back to me and says, well, he said, that's just her. You know, she gets that way when, you know, people don't, you know, text her or call her and stuff like that. I go, no, that's not like a personal problem. That's not my problem. I mean, yeah, I go, and I would think to myself, he's like, to me, when he told me that, I was like, that sounds like a personal problem. That is not my problem. I don't give a damn if I'm dating somebody and somebody gets bent out of shape over the person I'm dating, having a conversation with me. No, it doesn't work like that. Like, I don't give a damn if you're a best friend. Are you fucking her? Is your tongue in her pussy? I'm gonna need you to get the fuck out of my face with that. That's exactly what I said to him. I need you to get the fuck out of my face with that shit. If you're not sucking my dick, because my motto's always been, I don't give a fuck if it's your best friend. If she's not sucking my dick, she's not bending over the couch, and she's not taking my dick in her ass, in or her pussy, or any orifice, period, then I really don't give a fuck what your friend got to say about this relationship. Until that bitch is sucking my dick, then I'll care. Until then, I don't care. When she starts doing that, then I will care. I'm just ignorant and savage like that. Like, I don't, because I've always said, and y'all know this, Your friends are your friends, but your friends are not my friends. My friends are my friends, and my friends will never be your friends. It's that fucking simple. That's always been my motto. And I always tell my best friends this shit. I tell my friends who date fucked up women and shit, like, no, her friends aren't your friends. Do they include you in shit? No. Then her friends aren't your friends. Do they offer you shit? No. Then her friends aren't your friends. Are they nice to you? Maybe. We'll say cordial. Her friends aren't your friends. And that's typically how that works. And the sad part about that is a woman always wants her best friend and her man to get along when in fact they're never going to get along. Because at the end of the day, your best friend is competing for attention with your man for you. Hell, sometimes your best friend act like y'all fucking. I'm just saying. That goes to all women out there. Sometimes your best friend act like y'all fucking. And if y'all not, you might want to check your best friend and let me know what the fuck's going on, because if I'm in a relationship like that, I'm bouncing. Because to me, for a person to be acting like that, y'all obviously are fucking. Legit. And especially for you to enable this shit to happen and want me to be okay with your friend saying all that shit or anything like that, y'all are obviously fucking. Because I told my friend, look, if they do that one more time again, it's time for you to probably call it quits. Because obviously they got a relationship you don't know about going on. Because no, there's going to be no way in hell that you should be competing with her best friend for a time and attention at the end of the day. That means either A, you're not coming in first place or second place, her friend is. On top of that, she's a single mother, so her children are obviously coming in first, second, and third, and her best friend is coming in fourth, and her dog is probably coming in fifth, and, you know, whatever else you got going on. So you're probably like number 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. The sad part about that, there's probably no people there, but typically there's going to be a lot of space in between her actual friend. Let's just say her friend is before her dog. Her dog is number 5. You're going to be number 10. Even if there's nobody there, you're going to be number 10. That's exactly how you should look at your relationship when it comes to women who have best friends like that, who they co-sign on their bullshit for, or they enable their bullshit to happen. You're number 10 on their list of people to talk to or get to. Case in point, my friend. Case in point. Here's how you know that women, you don't mean shit to women in a relationship. Now, this is the dating process. Here's how you know you don't mean shit to women. Okay, my friend and this woman's been, messing around, no condom. Okay, cool. You basically know where this shit is going. So they had a little bit of a pregnancy scare. They thought maybe she was pregnant. All signs point that she was pregnant. Shit like that, sadly. All signs pointed to she was pregnant. So the sad part about that is when she took the pregnancy test, who did she tell first? Who do y'all think she told first? Her man or everybody else? Her man or everybody else? Put it in the comment section, y'all. Put it in the comment section. Who do you think she told first? Her man or everybody else? Or her friend? Don't worry, I'll wait. The sad part about that is, for those of you guessing, and those of you about to mark it in the comment section, her man wasn't the first person on the list to be told that she's quite possibly pregnant. Man wasn't the first person on the list at all, in the least bit. Her friend knew, co-workers knew, then eventually her man knew. See what I'm saying? This is how you know you don't rank very high of a priority in a woman's life. Everybody else gets to hear about this shit before you. Now, last I checked, everybody else wasn't in a bedroom making his baby. But the person who actually helped make the baby had to hear about it last. I'm going to continue on with this story. So they go on, and, it's looking like she's going to be pregnant. She took 2 pregnancy tests, looking like she's going to be pretty pregnant. Took a 3rd pregnancy test, looking like she's going to be pretty pregnant. So you move right along for a couple months. You go see your OBGYN and stuff like that. They take blood tests and stuff like that. You know, all this other stuff. She gets an update of the blood test. Who does she tell first? Her friend and everybody else, or her man? No, man. Her man found out last. Matter of fact, her friends found out in the morning. Her man found out at the end of the fucking night. Let that shit sink in for a second. Her friends found out in the morning. The morning. Her man found out at night while he's probably about to lay his ass down and go to sleep. At night. That's how late at night it was. I think it was, he told me, I shit you not, he found out at about 10 o'clock at night. 10 o'clock at night. 10 o'clock at night. That woman was pregnant on the results for the doctor. He found out at 10 o'clock at night. Her friends found out at early in the morning. Early in the fucking morning. Does that sound like you're of importance to a woman when you found out that late? That late at night. 10 o'clock at night, my guy. 10 o'clock at night. That's any time zone. She finds out results in the morning, the night before, and her friends are the first and privy to hear it. You don't get to hear it until damn near into the next day at 10 o'clock at night. That what the results are, sadly. This is how you know when you don't rank anywhere or of any importance to a woman at the end of the day. When that fucking happens. Sad part about that, there are a lot of women that do that shit. So whenever you hear about, whenever your woman goes to you, I'm pregnant, you're not the first person that heard it. You're probably like the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 20th person to hear about it. You're basically nothing. You're a nobody. You get told whenever she wants to tell you at the end of the day. That's typically how that works. That is the very psychology of woman that is a detriment to a lot of relationships. Their significant others is not of any importance. Friends, family, everybody else, important. The person in a relationship with, not important. Not important enough to tell first. Not important enough to tell second. They're important enough to tell last. The sad part about that, you would think that the person you have sex with, if you're pregnant, should be the very first person you should tell. Not your friends, the person you slept with, not your freaking friends. Because this is the stuff that creates distrust in relationships when it comes to men. The fact that I'm finding out now and I didn't find out then lets me know that either A, I'm of no importance to you. I don't rank anywhere higher on your list to tell, basically. This is the sad reality of men today. This is why relationships always are rocky. This is why relationships always are fucked up. Because women don't think before they act, and they just do. The sad part about that is that person in your life, that person who you laid down with to have that baby with, should be the very first person you tell. You wake up next to him, you talk to him as much as you claim you do, he should be the first person to tell. The sad part about that is, this is the bullshit that this man was told. My friend was told. Information like that should be told in person, not via text message. Well, he goes to her, I shit you not. He goes to her, well, why didn't you call me? Well, no, because information like that should be told in person. So, wait, let me get this straight. You knew since yesterday the results to this. You told your friends this morning, and I didn't find out until 10 o'clock at night. Let that sink in for a second. Well, that's when I was going to come see you. Well, you could have probably bought me lunch and told me this morning. Could probably bought me some breakfast, told me this morning. Hell, you could have probably came over to my house and drove me to work and told me this morning. Like, legit, think about that. You could have done all this stuff in the morning, but you didn't. You didn't. You waited till 10 o'clock at night, which goes to show me how very little of importance I am to you at the end of the day. Literally what he told her, I was like, get her, nigga, get her. Get her, nigga, get her. Sit her, instigate the shit. Like, get her, nigga, get her. That shows how very little importance that you are to that woman, sadly. She found out yesterday night. Now, the doctor didn't have to stay up all night and report these results to her. The doctor told her over the phone. The doctor didn't tell her in person. The doctor told her over the phone. So it's perfectly fine for your doctor to tell you shit over the phone. But you can't tell your boyfriend, the person you claim you love, that this is what's going on. Like, think about this. This is the psychology of women. Okay, cool. Moving right along. So that's a relationship. And I look at it like this. When it comes to shit like that, I don't give a damn if it's a white lie. If you're a woman and you can't talk to your significant other, that says that you shouldn't be in a relationship with that person. If you can't communicate properly with that person, and you got to tell everybody else, and he has to hear it from everybody else, you shouldn't be in that relationship. Because your communication is trash at that moment in time. You can tell all your friends, you can tell everybody else, but you can barely tell your significant other. Like, think about that. What's that say about your character? Or what does that say about your significant other's character? Either it says you don't trust them with the information, that you got to talk it over with your friends before you tell them. The question is that information even proper? Is that even truth to the information if you got to mull it over with your friends first before you go over and tell him? Like, think about that. Now, how do I know I'm actually getting the proper information or everything in a proper context? And how do I know that you ain't go over to your PR spin team over there to spin it to make it sound even prettier or nicer or, whatever it is, sadly. This is typically the problem that women pose in their own relationships, sadly. And this is women in relationships. The sad part about that is, like I said, when it comes to relationships and when it comes to approaching a woman, men will pretty much date to above, same level, to below. Or let me rephrase that. Men would date on their level, to above, and to below. Sometimes they'll even go even lower. Sometimes, if they're desperate. That's typically how that works for men. Women only want to date above. Anybody that is seen as better value than them, sadly. The sad part about that is, at the end of the day, a lot of the times when women get into relationships, the person was always of better value than them, sadly. They might have that one person that was a fuck up in their lives. That one person that was a fuck up in their lives. And the sad part about that is they'll probably date them for one or two reasons. One, dick. Two, they look cute. You see what I'm saying? Dick or they look cute, basically. That's typically how this shit works. Dick or they look cute. That's typically the only reason why women are dating these type of people. They either got good dick or they look handsome. If they're dating a fuck up. And I'm willing to bet you any money if you actually talk to women in depth about that person ain't had no job. That person wasn't doing very much with their lives. They were a fuck up. And I'm willing to bet any money they probably have a criminal record of sorts. Bet. I'll put money on the bid. I can prove it in my salary. And it is what it is when it comes to stuff like that. And it's sad to watch. And it's sad to have to sit there and understand and you're basically getting the leftovers at the end of the day. Another thing I was going to say to men when it comes to the psychology of men, the psychology of women in relationships is the whole entire thing about she wants it to be special and she wants to make you wait. Now, I want you to ask yourself, so how long did that person have to wait before me? How long did this person have to wait before me? How long did this person have to wait before me? How long did that person have to wait before me? Oh, they didn't have to wait? So why am I waiting again? Well, you're different. Okay, no. Yeah, I'm different. I'm different in the concept of you're basically trying to, milk me for shit while putting in the least amount of effort at the end of the day. This is going to basically segue into like sex and relationships and stuff like that when it comes down to it. But basically, if a woman doesn't want to have sex with you, because at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, within 15 seconds of meeting you, within 15 seconds of them laying their eyes on your punk ass, she's already decided that she want to fuck you, she want to be with you, and she probably wants to have your kids within 15 seconds of this shit. So when you ever hear a woman, well, I wasn't sure, or I wasn't this, I wasn't that, trust me, she wanted you. She wanted you. You wouldn't be having this conversation basically at this point in time. Now, 9 times out of 10, if you're that guy who is not getting any sex, 9 times out of 10, there's probably something to do at that moment in time. Just in case anything else swings along at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, you best believe me when I say this. If you're not getting sex from that woman, somebody else is in this day and age. If you're not getting sex from her, somebody else is getting sex from her at the end of the fucking day, whether you like it or not. So while you're waiting, somebody else is banging. Somebody else is smashing, basically. So the sad part about that is at the end of the day, it is what it is. You're probably a backup plan just in case her smash game doesn't work out, basically. At the end of the day. That's typically how this shit works. It's sad, but it's true. You're basically our backup just in case her smash brother game don't work out, basically. This is why you're not getting sex. At the end of the day. This is why you're waiting. You're not important enough to actually have pussy passed to you, basically. You're not important enough. You're not priority enough to have pussy passed to you at the end of the fucking day, whether you like it or not. Because if a woman tells you she wants to wait till marriage, or she doesn't believe in kissing on the first date, or anything of that sort, or she doesn't believe in having sex on the first date, or she doesn't believe in kissing, or this, that, and the other, or she wants to be in a relationship when this happens, basically. The question you have to ask yourself is, are you a virgin? No, the question you have to ask her is she a virgin? And she can't answer that question, or she comes with some bullshit answer like, yes, I'm a born-again virgin. No. Born again means you let it out, basically. Born again means you pass the coochie out before a certain time, and all of a sudden now you want to check your life choices, basically, or now you want to make me wait because I'm not of value to you at the end of the fucking day. Because at the end of the day, whether we all like it or not, sex is a very important component of a relationship. Without sex, relationships crumble. At the end of the day, this is segueing into sex in a relationship. At the end of the day, in a relationship, if you're not getting sex, somebody else is, or somebody's being planned on having sex past them at the end of the fucking day. That's typically how that shit works. The psychology of it is basically, because here's the thing, you'll hear a lot of women on social media that'll say, and I shit you not, sex isn't the most important thing of a relationship. Yes, the fuck it is. Sex is a very important part of a relationship. If you're not having sex, then you're basically just best friends. And you're basically just family or friends, basically, at that point in time. So without sex, you're basically not a relationship. On top of that, bonding isn't happening. Physical bonding isn't happening. Emotional bonding isn't happening. And none of that bonding is happening if you're not having sex at the end of the day. The problem with that is the women who say stupid shit like that are women who usually have side niggas, basically. And when I say side niggas, black, white, Chinese, Puerto Rican, Asian, I don't give a fuck what your side nigga look like. He's a nigga in my eyes, and he's your side nigga at the end of the damn day. That's typically how that shit works. That's the psychology of women. If she's not giving it to you, she's giving it to somebody else. And if she's not giving it to somebody else, she's planning on giving it to somebody else at the end of the day, whether you like it or not. If there's nothing physically wrong with her, and she's not giving it up, she's giving it to somebody else or planning on giving it to somebody else. Or already have given it to somebody else, sadly. And that's typically the nature of the beast at the end of the day. Because the sad part about that is women try to control men in a relationship via sex at the end of the day. Or with threats of breaking up with them. That's another thing that women do. That's the psychology of women in a relationship. They'll either threaten to take away sex, or they'll threaten to break up the relationship at the end of the day. Anytime a woman's willing to do that, she's a psychopath. She's a straight up psychopath. And a narcissist. She's a psychopath and a narcissist. The sad part about that is she holds that so much value, that she believes she can manipulate you into doing anything she wants you to do. And if you fall for that shit, you'll basically fall for any fucking thing. And it's basically a big ass shit test too. Let's just keep it 100, sadly. But a lot of men fall for this. A lot of men crumble under pressure. Hell, some of the best feminist laws were passed because men weren't getting pussy. Let's just keep it 100. A lot of politician wives get together and say it'd be a great idea if we don't give them no sex for this shit. That shit actually happened in American history. I think it didn't happen just once. I believe it happened twice in American history. The sad part about that is this is what I talk about, the simp men who voted to actually let this shit happen, or who was empowered to let this shit actually happen. It is what it is. This shit happened multiple times in history. Not just once, twice, maybe 3 times. But I'm going to yield on a side of caution and say once that I can actually know of in history. And there was another time that I was reading about, but I never really finished the actual article on that one. But apparently, you don't give men sex. You can basically get them to pass laws that you want them to pass at the end of the fucking day. It is what it is. That's something that they leave out about, the time with the women with the white wearing the white, basically. And the women who used to walk around and give people who didn't want to go to the military, they gave them flowers and shit like that to let everybody know that person's a wuss, basically. Yeah. So shit like that was happening back in the days, whether you like it or not. Even in the 50s and 60s. The sad part about that is everybody I've noticed, all the conservatives and a lot of people in the MGTOW red pill community always talks about, well, you need to be a woman from the 50s and 60s. The sad part about that, the women from the 40s, 50s, and 60s was cheating on their husbands just as much too. Because if you go back and read all the articles about it, there's about 25% of baby boomers, and a certain 20 to 25% of baby boomers, men, are raising children that's not even theirs. Like, think about that for a second. Think about that for a hot second. Not baby boomers. Well, baby boomers did too, but the generation after that and generation after that, basically, they're all raising children that wasn't there. So that lets you know one or two things. One, first off, the 50s, 40s, 50s, 20s, 40s, 50s, and 60s weren't as great as everybody's making them out to be, first off. Secondly, there's a lot of grandmas who got a lot of skeletons in their closet who don't want to talk about it, and it's taken into their grave, basically. So 9 times out of 10, your grandfather that you know of today may not be your grandfather that you actually know of. That may not be your grandfather that you genetically know of. At the end of the day, there's been a lot of 23andMe mysteries that's been solved, Scooby-Doo mysteries that's been solved with 23andMe, sadly. It's sad. It's very sad. And the sad part about that is we allow this to happen, and we allow women to be the weaker, fairer sex and make up excuses and get away with it on why it's a great thing. These are the same women who can literally say, and I quote, it's my dick. If I want sex, I just take it. Last I checked, that's rape. Whatever happened to my body, my choice. So at the end of the day, this is how women view men. It's her body, her choice when it comes to her body. But when it comes to your body, if you're dating, you belong to her. It kind of reminds me of the old saying, the old adage for money. Your money's our money, and my money's my money. Same thing for your body when it comes to a woman in a relationship. If you're not giving it up, she feels slighted because it's her body. And the sad part about that, she can take it. There's been women in videos that's literally said this shit out the side of their mouths, and they literally believe that, because you're dating them, that dick belongs to them. Sadly. Even the women, I'll say, well, no, it's your dick, and, it's this and the other, or, this and the other. They believe that shit too. They believe that they can take it anytime they want. Because you're dating them, it belongs to them. But you can't do the same thing because it's her body, her choice. When it comes to sex, when it comes to babies, when it comes to anything like that, it's her body, her choice. But you cannot reject her from having sex because she can take it and it's not rape. Because, quote unquote, you can't rape the willing. Now, last I checked, from a scientific point of view, it's still rape. If a person's unconscious, it's rape. Just because they're hard, that don't make it not rape. The sad part about that, if the wind blows, a nigga's hard. If he's still working, if his body's still working on full form, if the wind blows, his dick is hard. If he wakes up in the morning, his dick is hard. If he goes to sleep or thinks about something, his dick is hard. That doesn't mean he's willing to actually have sex with you at the end of the day. His dick's just hard. It's an involuntary muscle. It's basically like, best way to put it, now, he can voluntarily make his dick hard if he tries, yeah. That's usually masturbating. They call that masturbating. But typically, that your penis is basically involuntary. It basically does it its fucking self. It has a mind of its own. This is why we joke about thinking with your big head and not your small head, sadly. Because it literally has a mind of its own. It's not hard because he wants you. It's hard because, I don't know, a thought blew through his head, or, you know, the wind blew wrong. Blew up his trunks the wrong way at that moment in time, sadly. This is women's psychology when it comes to dating, relationships, and marriage. They believe that they can take it anytime they want because you belong to them. And they're not really raping you because you're willing. When in fact, you just happen to get hard or you happen to get morning wood. Sad part about that is I can't think of a time when a man woke up and not have morning wood unless he has ED. Every morning, a man has morning wood. Does that mean he wants you? No. That means he just has morning wood and it still works. That's typically one of those things I always joke about when it comes to men. If you wake up in the morning and you have morning wood, you know it still works. At the end of the day, you know it still works. It is what it is. The minute you stop waking up with morning wood, then you probably got some problems. At the end of the day, when it comes down to it. So morning wood doesn't mean he wants it. Anytime the wind blows and it stands up at attention, doesn't mean he actually wants it. It's just an involuntary thing, like breathing. It just happens. Something happens, blood flow, end of story. Just like your blood flow through your body or your veins to go through your heart to go and recycle it back out again. It's the same fucking concept when it comes to having a heart on. Now, can he visually get turned on by something? Yeah. But the sad part about that don't mean he wants you. He might have seen something more attractive than you. This is why he's probably standing out of attention. It is what it is, whether you like it or not. His dick's on swole because he's seen something else that looks more attractive than you. That doesn't mean he wants you. That doesn't mean, you know, you can just take it. Maybe he wants that woman that look much better than you to take it. You ever think of that? But that's typically how it works. Yeah. That's sad. 38% now? Ooh, that's sad. And that's true. And it's true. There's all these teachers that got OnlyFans accounts after molesting your child at school. Like, that's just wrong. This is basically the psychology of women. They can't have a man their age. Hell, the sad part about that, most of these teachers are actually married in a whole ass relationship, have a baby, and are messing with a baby. Think about that. Think about that. The one teacher even went as far as to blame. The one teacher in her defense went as far as to blame the student for coercing the teacher into sex. Now, last I checked, that's a child, first off. Secondly, you're the person that's supposed to be coercing the student to learn something at school. Your job is to basically get the student to want to learn some shit, not the other way around. The student's not teaching you shit. The student might teach you about their life, but the student's not teaching you shit. You're supposed to be teaching the student. You're supposed to be influencing the student. You're not supposed to be influencing the pants off that student. You're supposed to be influencing the student educationally, not the pants off that student. But that's a sidebar for another day. And the sad part about that is this is how psychologically fucked up women are, that they can literally blame the actual victim and say it was his fault this happened. Like, think about that for a second. Let that sink in for a second. But moving right along when it comes down to it. At the end of the day, the reason why you haven't really heard me bring up men is because from start to finish, a man's psychology stays the same. A man is either himself or he's been changed, or he believes in unicorns and rainbows and the whole entire quote of happy wife, happy life. So basically, he's going to be this. If he believed in happy wife, happy life from the beginning, he's going to believe in happy wife, happy life at the end. And typically, the men who believe in happy wife, happy life are typically the men who are more likely to commit suicide at the end of the day, whether we all like it or not. It is what it is. The men who believe in happy wife, happy life are the same men who are more likely or more susceptible to committing suicide after being divorce raped or after losing their children or, you know, anything like that. They're more likely to be emotionally, mentally devastated by something like that than, you know, a man that doesn't believe in happy wife, happy life. Sadly. It is what it is. So when it comes down to it, it sucks, but it happens. And men really don't change. There's the type of men that you basically get into a relationship with. There's two types of men. There's a man that believes in happy wife, happy life, and there's a man that, you know, that is just gaming to get in some pussy, basically. That just wants the pussy, basically. And the sad part about that, the problem with women, psychologically, is they believe because a man wants them, they obviously want to be in a relationship with them. There's a fundamental difference between wanting to be in a relationship with a woman and just wanting to sleep with a woman. This is how you know that the whole entire thing about the microchimerism in the thing about women losing their mating, losing their ability to pair bond, basically, is actually a true thing, because women equate a man wanting them to actually wanting to be in an actual sexual relationship at the end of the day. There's a fine line between a man that just wants to have sex with you and a man that actually wants to be in a relationship with you. You can't sit up here and tell me that you're in a relationship with somebody or it's complicated when in fact you're only having sex. You're only having sex. That is not a relationship. That is a benefit. You a hoe. If he's not taking you out, you're not meeting his parents, you're a hoe. You're basically a piece of ass, basically, at the end of the day, whether you like it or not. It might sound cool to you. You might, because I've heard women say this shit where they say to me, oh yeah, I've been in a relationship. I just got out of a relationship for like 3, 4, 5 years of a relationship, sadly. And you ask them, how'd that relationship go? Oh yeah, we, this, that, and the other. Like, the sad part about that is some of the funniest, longest relationships with women, you'll notice that either it was abusive or it was all about sex. And you want to tell me that sex isn't an important part of a relationship. You got into him because he had sex good. You got into that relationship because sex was good. You didn't think anything else of it. You didn't think anything else around it. You didn't do any other shit besides the fact that you got into a relationship because you thought the sex was going to be good. Because the sex was good. So, and then you want to run around here on Facebook and say, or Snapchat or Twitter or Twitch or wherever the fuck you're on and say, sex isn't an important thing in a relationship, but your longest relationship was based on sex or excitement of getting your ass whooped. Like, think about that for a second, gentlemen. That's typically how this shit works. And the sad part about that is women would delude themselves in believing that because somebody wants their pussy, they obviously want to be in a relationship with them. But in fact, that's far from the truth. I know a lot of niggas that just want to smash women. I know a lot of women like, oh, all these guys want to date me. No, he wants to sleep with you. 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 This guy might want to be in a relationship with you. That guy definitely does want to be in a relationship with you. But everybody else wants to sleep with you. It's pretty much the nature of the beast. It's kind of like that one woman that came up to me and was telling me about her when I was working in microbiology at a hospital. She literally told me that her boyfriend broke up with her and she was sad about it. And she goes to me, what man wouldn't want to have me? I wouldn't. I literally said that to her out loud. I wouldn't want to have you. I wouldn't want to date you at all. No. You asked the right question to the wrong person, and you got this answer. You should have seen how her face looked when I said that to her. I wouldn't date you. I wouldn't date you at all. I don't even want to have sex with you. Like, I literally said this shit out my mouth at work. At work. This is how you know. This is how you know when you have the ability to actually get away with shit at work. When you can literally say to a white woman at work with a big ass forehead, I wouldn't date you. I wouldn't want to have you, and I wouldn't even want to have sex with you. And you don't go to HR. You don't end up in any type of trouble at work at all. This is how you know when you have some value. This is how you know when you can devastate somebody. This is how you know either A, you have value, or you caught that person completely off guard and you don't really give a fuck. That's a I don't give a fuck attitude. That's a it is what it is attitude in a person, basically. If you could say that and not end up in HR and end up fired from saying that shit. The sad part about that is it was so bad that everybody was shocked that she didn't have a response for me. Like, oh, usually she's all up in arms and telling people about themselves. Like, what's different from you? I'm Tico. It is what it is. It's called commit and own it, bitch. Commit and own it. If you're going to come to me with some shit, I'm going to tell you what I think of this shit at that moment in time. If you don't like it, you want to suck it up. Her face, she looked devastated. You would have thought I legit punched her in the stomach and knocked the wind out of her. You would have thought I was like the FBI and I freezed all her assets and shit. The minute I told her that, she was completely destroyed. This woman went from being all happy and bubbly and thinking she was cute to feeling like shit in a matter of seconds. The minute I opened my mouth. You would either have to have some serious balls, or you would have to literally be somebody of value or that just doesn't give a fuck. To say that to a woman, for her to feel destroyed at that moment in time. That actually helped me assess where my actual SMV actually is at work, sadly. When, as many times as I said some shit at work and I didn't end up in HR, I knew that I had a decent marketplace value at work because of it. Because most other men would have probably been fired or sitting in HR, especially all the other beta men that worked in a lab. They'd all been fired or sitting in HR or anything like that, sadly. This is how I knew I had some intrinsic value when it comes to the SMB dating market, sadly. Because anytime I can get away with saying some shit like that and destroy somebody completely, and they look devastated or like you kicked their dog, or the puppy dog eye look type shit, or the glassy glossy eye thing, you know you destroyed that person. Because typically anybody that's beneath a woman will typically get treated with such fervor and malice and blatant disregard for that person's well-being, sadly, when it comes to women. Me, she was just destroyed. Didn't say anything the rest of the shift. Felt like shit. Apparently, at one point, she cried in the bathroom, too. That's what I heard from another coworker. She cried in the bathroom about it, too, for a little bit. And said, I cannot believe he said that to me. She said, I can't believe you didn't dig in his ass for saying that to you. And that's the thing that's getting me right now. But it's like the funniest shit in the world to listen and watch to destroy somebody. It's the funniest shit in the world. Because I don't do it on purpose. I do it very innocently. And I'm basically go based on what I like and what I see and what I date. And it basically just comes out very naturally. And it comes out so nonchalant that it's like, yeah, whatever. And I mean it too. You know, so it comes out so nonchalant. And so, as a matter of fact, and when I look up at them, it's like, I dare you to say something to me. So when it comes out, when delivery comes out nonchalant and as a matter of fact, and then when I look at them, it's like, I dare a motherfucker to say some shit to me now. Because I look them right in the eye as I'm saying it. And won't break eye contact doing it, sadly. That's typically how I've always been when it comes to people like that. And the sad part about that is it's almost like You rip that soul out of that person's body when you can do shit like that to a person. You rip that soul right out of that person's body. Because the sad part about that, like I said, when it comes to women, women are very fragile emotionally. This is why they go through the range of emotions. Women have emotions. They understand them, but they can't control them. They understand them because they use them to their advantage to get what they want and get what they don't want and get out of what they don't want to do. So they understand the range of emotions that they have for that very reason. Sadly, they really understand them. They just can't control them. The sad part about that is men suck at emotions because it's not really a realm to play in at the end of the day. We can control them. We can push them down. We can avoid them, but we typically don't know what to do with them when they arise at the end of the day. That's typically how that works. When they arise and it's so overpowering where you can't just force it back down and go back to sleep emotions. You can't just hit it over the head with a hammer and go back to sleep. It's typically one of those things because like we can control it before it gets there, but once it happens, we have no control over those emotions. None. So for a man to feel emotion and to show pain and hurt, those emotions would have to outweigh his mental fortitude or his mental logistics. I mean, not logistics. I mean, his logical portion of his brain. It would have to literally outweigh the logical portion of his brain for him to actually feel and show those emotions at the end of the day, whether you like it or not. So it takes it would have to be a great thing, a great pain or a great happiness or a great amount of it has to be very emotionally taxing for a man to feel that and show it at the end of the day. It would have to be legit emotionally taxing for that to actually be a thing. Because typically, if it's not, think of it like the best way to put it metaphorically is think of it like a fucking RPG game. When you roll to check your mental fortitude for something, basically. If it's greater than your mental fortitude, it's going to show. If it's not greater than your mental fortitude, you'll be able to keep your composure. It's typically how it works. So, at the end of the day, it is what it is. What's up, Billy the Goat? What's up, Anti-Grifter? At the end of the day, it is what it is when it comes down to it. Women use those emotions to basically capitalize on every round around them. The sad part about it, here's the best way to actually look at it. Y'all seen the videos where a woman would be winning, and then all of a sudden that man would turn up logic and she'll start taking an L. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she'll turn on the waterworks and have everybody believing that this man was abusing her or doing something to her to break her emotionally, basically, to make her cry. That's typically women in a nutshell. When they can't get you on emotion, they'll get you with the public or the court of public opinion. They'll think of it like this. Every single time you've ever seen a woman go to court who's done something wrong, that bitch is dressed up in a cardigan, hair done, church girl, a small town girl, church girl, proper earrings, not the hoop earrings that she was wearing at the club when she did the dirt, not the hoe earrings that she was wearing at the club when she did the dirt. She's wearing the proper earrings that her mom and dad would be wearing. They either have like crosses in them, or they'll be like diamonds or something like that, or they'll be crosses, or there'll be something to make her look wholesome. They'll have her in a fucking cardigan. They'll have her hair done like she's a child. Like, you ever notice this? Basically, look at the Casey Anthony trial. Look at her before the trial and look at her during the trial. This bitch was wearing cardigans. That bitch wasn't wearing cardigans before the trial. That bitch was wearing cardigans during the trial. They made her look like a child. They basically made her look like they did her hair in the way that her daughter would have her hair done, or my daughters would have their hair done, or any little girl would have their hair done. They basically made her look very wholesome, young, and innocent at the end of the day. That's exactly that same tactic that women deploy on men in public. 1 minute they tough until they get knocked down. Now all of a sudden, I can't believe you hit a woman. I can't believe you did this. I can't believe you. You're not a real man if you hit women. But 5 seconds ago, with her best friend, they was trying to swing on you and knock you the heck out because they thought they was tough. The minute they get knocked down or knocked down a couple pegs, now all of a sudden it's, I can't believe you hit a woman. It's all that. That's the psychology of women. Whenever they can't get you to do what they want you to do through manipulation, direct manipulation from them, they'll get their friends, the court, the judge, the people in public, and everybody around you to get you to do what they want you to do. Everybody else will get you to do what they want to do. The sad part about that, if you're me, that shit don't work either. Because I'll tell a person, look, if you got something to say to me, I'm going to need you to open your lips and stick my dick in it. Until then, I'm going to need you to shut the fuck up. I said that to multiple people. I said that to cops. I said that to judges. I said that to everybody, basically. Other women, teenagers, I don't give a fuck. I'll say it to any fucking body. If you got opinion on this shit right here that you know nothing about, I'm going to need you to part your lips and stick my dick in your mouth. Until then, shut the fuck up and keep it moving. The sad part about that, what I noticed with people like that, especially when white knights around, they typically don't fuck with you. They're less apt to come to a woman's rescue if they know that you're a very dangerous person. Less white knights are going to show up to get their ass whooped. To the party, basically, to get their ass whooped at the end of the day. The sad part about that is women rely heavily on white knights. Women rely heavily on dumb motherfuckers. This is typically why OnlyFans is a thing. This is typically why Twitch thoughts are a thing. This is typically why Chatterbay is a thing. Because you got simps and incels that will pay a shit ton of money to women like this, and it'll come to their quote-unquote their queen's rescue, basically. The sad part about that is you as a man, if you want to deter all that bullshit from happening to you in public, you basically tell them what it is. Look, was I talking to you? No? Do you know anything about this conversation? No? Well, I'm going to need you to open your mouth and stick my dick in your mouth. Until then, shut the fuck up. You'll be shocked on how many people will shut the fuck up, pipe down, and walk the fuck away. And won't come to a rescue. The sad part about that is, at that very moment when you tell somebody that, her face changes. She's shocked at the shit. Because the sad part about that is, if you have the balls to say that to anybody, everybody, and anybody around you, she done fuck with the wrong person. She done tried to manipulate the wrong fucking person. Because like I said, I've said it to judges. I've said it to cops. Male and female. I've said it to my supervisor. I've said it to many supervisors. I've said it to HR. I've said it to you. The list goes on. I've said it to almost anybody. I've said it to teachers. I've said it to instructors. I've said it to classmates. I've said it to coworkers, contractors, anything like that, where a woman's trying to manipulate everybody to get in her shit, basically, and get in her business. I've told everybody that. It don't matter what sex you are. It don't matter what sex you think you are. I don't give a fuck if you're 23 genders. I don't give a fuck what you are. Non-binary or binary. Either learn what's going on or stick my dick in your mouth and shut the fuck up. Nobody fucks with you. All the hard-ass people in public turn into the softest people in the world. I shit you not. That's the reality of today. So the sad part about that is if you're not a man that's willing to go that fucking far, you're probably going to be jumped by a bunch of simps and white knights. If you are a man that's willing to go that damn far, you probably have a 5% chance of being fucked with by a simp or a white knight. It is what it is. Trust me. I know. I've been there. I've done it. The sad part about that, you can weed out all the Captain Save hoes very quickly by saying shit like that. Because the sad part about that, it doesn't just shock that person. It shocks the people around that person. And it shocks her. It's basically like, think of it like this. If you're going to fight a war with somebody who you know you can't beat, or you know you don't stand a chance, or you're going to be outnumbered by, you typically want to deploy tactics like things that'll fuck them up mentally, scare them or fuck them up mentally, basically. The sad part about that, that's all that's doing. You're basically at war with the whole entire public. The sad part about that is, if you're willing to say that out your mouth to anybody and keep it moving too, like, oh, you got a problem with that? You want to do the same thing? Shut the fuck up then. And keep going around the circle and letting people know that they can get the dick too. No Vaseline. They can get the dick too. And the sad part about that is people might say, well, that's gay or that's homo. No, it's not. It's really not. It's basically you asserting your dominance in that whole entire fucking diatribe of retarded people who want to be white knights and superheroes and Captain Save-A-Hos. It's basically you asserting your dominance and letting people know that I am not to be trifled with. I am not going to bend, and I don't give a fuck what you think about me. The sad part about that is everybody is scared of that person. That person. I'm not saying the crazy person that kills people. Everybody's scared of that person that they can't control. At the end of the day, when it comes down to it, you have to be that man that nobody can fucking control. If you're not willing to go that fucking far, then you will fucking fall and you will fucking falter in this world. That is the psychology you have to have as a man in any fucking situation. The minute you can't be controlled, nobody wants to fuck with you, nobody wants to talk to you, but people will respect the fuck out of you because that's exactly what they want in their life. That's exactly what they want to be in their lives. It's facts. Like I said, I've said it to supervisors. I said it to HR. Like, you're talking to this is the same nigga that literally go to work every day and say, what's up, my niggas? Literally out loud at work with everybody who's anybody in the fucking place. And I say, what's up, my niggas? To everybody. You fucking with the wrong person. You're not fucking with a bitch nigga. Like, people say, well, I would lose my job. Okay, yeah, that's you. You're scared. You're very scared. They know that. Your ass is fired. I'm not scared. Either you're going to keep me here or you're going to fire me. Oh, you're not going to fire me? I get to work another day? Damn. You know, it's just typically how it is. So that's pretty much how that works at the end of the day. This is why nobody's ever fucked with me in public, because they know in a heartbeat the shit that's going to come. Matter of fact, a good example of that is there's a group that I'm in for work for WhatsApp. For WhatsApp at work. Something happened. I responded. People got mad. I responded again, and everybody got quiet. Nobody said shit to me. Everybody was scared of me. Nobody said shit. Everybody just batted their eyes and looked the other way like it didn't happen, basically. The funny thing about that is the very next day, one of my coworkers, Alan, I'm sorry, I keep calling him Alan. Adam. One of my coworkers, Adam, literally walked up to me the next day and go, it's like Russian roulette in a WhatsApp chat. You never know what the fuck Tico's going to say. You never know what the fuck Tico's going to say. And that makes it more interesting. And he just laughed. He laughed. He patted me on the shoulders and he walked out to go to work. I was cracking the fuck up. Because it's legit. That's how much fear I don't have. I have no fear when it comes to anybody. It don't matter if I'm at work. It don't matter if I'm in public. It don't matter if I'm in court. It don't matter if any of that shit. Because the sad part about that, if you know I'm willing to go above and beyond and say some shit to you to make you uncomfortable, just know I'm willing to do it even worse. I'm willing to go even further. I'm willing to push the envelope further than that. The sad part about that is I'm not finna be that coworker that comes back and shoots up the place, and I don't care either way. If you fire me, you fire me. I'm not coming back to shoot up the place because you're not that important. I'm gonna just keep on pushing the envelope while I'm here. That's typically how I am. And the sad part about that is it's the funniest shit in the world to watch. And watch the people around you either admire you, respect you, or fear you. Or avoid you. There's a lot of people that avoid me. It's funny. It's funny as hell to watch. It's like the funniest, saddest thing in the world. Because you realize how much men aren't men anymore. You realize how much people are too scared to be masculine or be who they are or be a man, sadly. That's the problem with the psychology of men today. They've gotten a lot softer. They've gotten a lot of, let's get along and get along for the getting along, basically. I've never been like that. I wasn't raised like that. I'm not built like that. I'll get along when I have to or when it's necessary, but I'm not finna get along when it's not necessary for me to not get along with somebody, basically. I'm not finna do that. That is not my MO. Anybody that's ever met me knows this. I'll laugh at a reverend. Hell, I'll clap at a reverend. When I say I'll clap at a reverend, I don't mean like, I mean actually pull out a gun and shoot at a reverend. I've said this multiple times in multiple videos. I don't give a fuck if you're the pastor, the pope, the bishop, the priest, God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, Mary, or anybody. You finna get the full Tico Tren. Anywhere in life, you finna catch me fully, whether you like it or not. And I actually agree with that. You can't be angry anymore. Yeah, you basically have to be sensitive to the BS, like he said, for all intents and purposes. What's up, Duzangs? You have to be sensitive to the BS, because the sad part about that, when it comes to BS, you have to always have your BS meter on. You always have to have it on. I'm not finna tell you some shit in a video that I'm not finna do in real life. Like I said, when has witnessed me doing stupid shit in public? Yam will tell you itself that, yeah, Tico, you ain't shit. That was fucked up. You ain't shit. Yam will literally tell you that behind closed. Yam would actually literally tell you that now. Like, shit, if Yam's listening, he would literally tell you this shit. Because he knows that when it comes to certain things, I don't pussyfoot around, and I mean what I say. And if you don't like it, that's just too damn bad. At the end of the day, it's too damn bad if you don't like it. It's going to hurt. It's going to suck. It's not going to feel good at all. And I don't do it to be 100% dick. I do it because it needs to be done. Because everybody needs to see something that resembles something where they need to be in life at the end of the day. Good example. I had this one friend. He's a drug dealer. He's a mid-range drug dealer. He's pretty cool. This, that, and the other. He gets angry sometimes. He gets hot-headed sometimes. He does a lot of shit. He literally said to me one time, I've even had like full-blown drug dealer suppliers literally say this shit to me too. But I'm picking him because I don't talk to him anymore, so I don't know where the fuck he is, and I don't know if he's alive or dead. So I'm basically picking him because I have no clue what's going on with his life because I haven't heard from him in a while. But there's been other drug dealers that are knee deep in the game, chest deep in the game, shoulder deep in the game, drowning in the fucking game. That's literally said the same thing to me too. They said, and I quote, Tico, I would like to be where you are in life. Everybody out here running around trying to be, baller thugs or gangster baller thugs or, rapper thugs and, drug dealer rapper thugs and shit like that. They're trying to do all this extra shit. You yourself, you're nothing more than a refined thug. I want to be where you are. You don't really give a fuck what people say about you. You don't really give a fuck what people say to you. You're going to respond in the way that you do. You never come out of character. You never come out the side of your mouth. You're pretty much always honest about shit. And you never lie about shit. And you always tell you what you did, what they did, what you did, what they did. And it is what it is. Like, I want to get to a point where I'm like you in life. Like, no, you don't want to be like me. You want to be you, but a better version of you is what I said to him. He goes, yeah, but to a lot of people, believe it or not, they might not say it to your fucking face. You are a blueprint, and you are a hope that men can be men, especially black men, especially men who are lost. You are a beacon to a lot of these motherfuckers in the hood. They may not say it to you. They might throw hate at you. They might throw shade at you. They may disrespect you. But the sad part about that is one thing they all have in common is they want to be like you. That's cool, but you don't have to be like me. Just be yourself and do it better. That's all I ask for people. Don't be a subhuman version of yourself. Be an actual superior version of yourself at the end of the day is all I really ask for when it comes to men. And this is basically the psychology. People need somebody to look to so they can have a blueprint or a road or a path so they can actually go that way and be that human being at the end of the day. It is what it is. I'm never going to lie on somebody else. I'm never going to lie to you about somebody else. I'm never going to lie to you about myself. Like I said, I had some badass kids. Like Sherm said in his video last night, his stream last night, if you were watching, yeah, give it to Lazar, one of the young kids that, will watch it. Not one of the ones that you'll throw in the fucking bushes. It is what it is. I'm honest about the shit. Like, I'm the guy that literally came in the stream and literally said, I literally want to knee this little bitch in the chest and throw her in the bushes. And I was talking about my daughter. Like, she has a smart ass mouth. I want to knee her in the chest and throw her ass in the bushes. That's the exact thoughts, the exact thing that I'm thinking, and I will tell my children. I will tell you the exact same thing in the exact same manner I told my children. I would tell you on public, on video. What I think is what I'll say. Like I said multiple times, I'm never going to hide something from you or never not say what I feel unless it's like, unless it's bleeding edge red pill show. I typically want to try to be as professional and as articulate as humanly possible without throwing out a bunch of swear words and shit like that, basically. So I basically have that one where is minimum swearing or no swearing at all, so we can seem like we're level-headed human beings and don't seem like a bunch of angry human beings while we're doing it. This is typically why that show is dedicated to no swearing or very little swearing to no swearing at all. Because I want people to see that, like he was saying, don't get angry anymore. Just sense the BS and be logical about it. I typically want people to see that not all people in the manosphere are angry and hate everybody and hate women and hate all these people. No. We have a lot of logical, sane people in the manosphere who get overlooked on a regular basis or who don't get their just dues or don't get the recognition or anything like that. We get skipped over for people who are angry, want to take out the whole entire world and do a lot of other dumb shit, and this is how we get labeled. Like you said, don't be angry anymore. Be sensitive to BS. And talk about it. It might piss you off. Like a good example of that is, it's kind of like I always say about the N-word. I don't have the same relationship with the N-word that African Americans do, sadly. So it doesn't bother me when somebody calls me the N-word. Now I've seen black African American men get bent the fuck out of shape over the word, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all because where I grew up at, I didn't have the same relationship or the same love affair with the word. And when I say love affair, I don't mean it like that. I mean it like I don't have the same relationship or I don't have the same deep relationship with that word that African Americans do, sadly, because it's not ingrained in me. I wasn't taught to hate myself. I wasn't taught all this shit about myself. And I was told that I was ugly growing up, other than that, because I had black skin. Other than that, I was never, lynched or hung or any of this other shit, basically, or any other stupid shit like that, sadly. So it's basically the same way. It's basically in the same light as that. I want people to view us in a positive light. They may hate our guts, but they can never say, well, he said this about me. No, we said this. We got videos saying what we said word for word, verbatim. So anytime I do the bleeding edge red pill, I look for people who can minimize their swearing just so we can look like we're presentable, well-adjusted, very thoughtful men at the end of the day. That's all the bleeding edge red pill is. It's a round table for you to act like you got some sense, act somewhat decent professional, and basically air out your grievances and talk about the various topics from your own point of view. All it is. This is what I want from men, instead of always looking like the angry person that wants to, take out every single woman and hates women. I don't want everybody. The sad part, this is what I look at. This is how I look at it in a manosphere. I don't want everybody in the MGTOW red pill community looking like Elliot Rodgers at the end of the day. That's what I don't want. Sadly. This is what I don't want. This is why I always pick and choose what to slap the MGTOW logo on when I do make videos. Because if I make something, I don't want it to seem as if we're all like Elliot Rodgers out this bitch. If you know what I mean. But back to the actual topic at hand, because I'm kind of sort of dragging y'all and keeping y'all hostage for a while. But this is typically relationships in a nutshell. And even your own personal relationship with yourself, you always want to be able to work on yourself in a relationship and always better yourself no matter what. Never stay stagnant. Because the sad part about that is this is the problem that happens to women. They stay stagnant because they don't believe they need to change. It was the other person's fault. I never want men to actually have that mindset at all. Even the ones that were raised by single mothers have this mindset. And I never want a man to have that mindset at all. If something fails, look at the whole entire situation. This is why we say, step outside yourself, and look at it from a 360 view. Look at everything. Look at yourself. Look at all the things around you. Look at what could possibly be the problem completely. Not just that person was doing this, that person was doing this. Figure out something that you could have did differently. Figure out something that you could have approached differently. Figure out, instead of ignoring that person at that time, could you have said something to prevent that from happening? Things like that. Or when you're in that relationship, hindsight 2020, could I have avoided all this bullshit? Or did I see any signs in the beginning? And how can I do better next time if I decide to go that route, that is? I'm not saying go that route. How can I do better next time to avoid that bullshit, basically? If you can't come up with nothing, then either you're not thinking hard enough or clear enough, and you're just still angry about the situation, or you're basically in denial about something you did wrong. Because the sad part about that, I'll tell you in a heartbeat. I can tell you every single relationship I've ever been in. I can tell you everything I've done wrong in a relationship. Sadly, even my first one to now, I can tell you everything that I've ever done wrong in a relationship. Sadly, and I won't even crack about it. The sad part about that is something I notice for myself is even when I do something wrong, I notice it, I realize it, and either A, I try to correct it or fix it for future problems, or I just let it ride because the person probably deserved it. And the sad part about that, the minute I let it ride or let it go, I know that I made the conscientious decision to be a fuck up in that relationship, sadly. Because typically, here's something that people don't know about me. When it comes to relationships, one or two things either happen. One, at the end of the day, I always break up with people. And this is why I'm always good and able to move on from relationships, because typically I'm a very stoic person. The minute I break up with somebody, the minute I mentally check out with somebody, I don't care what they do. They can be like, I'm breaking up with you, and this, that, and the other, and I'm cheating on you. I go, that's fine. I don't even care about you. I've already broken up with you a month ago. You notice we didn't have sex, right? You notice how much I didn't tell you I love you, right? You notice how many hugs I didn't give your ass, right? You notice I didn't buy you anything for your birthday, right? You notice all this other shit, right? This is typically why we say I got the Samsonite game. Because by that time, when I mentally check out, I've bought your luggage. Your ass is going. We just waiting for you to open your mouth to say some shit. So I can be like, peace out, bitches. Parting gifts. Samsonite luggage with your name on it. Because at that point in time, if I have Samsonite luggage in the closet with your name on it, I've already mentally checked out of this relationship. Because the luggage is already in there, it's premeditated, and you know. The sad part about that is I've never actually mentioned that to women until now, that I don't always have the Samsonite luggage on deck at the moment in time. But the minute I feel as though this is going south, or the minute I don't want to be in it, the Samsonite luggage is being done with your name on it. Monographs, everything, got your name on it. You can feel special as you're getting the fuck out of my life. And the sad part about that is, if you got shit at my house, I'll throw that shit in that Samsonite luggage and set it out on the porch. That way you can't say, I got rid of your shit or I did something to your shit, because it's all in that Samsonite luggage out on the porch. That's pretty much how I've always been. I've always been a savage human being. I've always been an ancient human being. I've always been an asshole. I've always been who I am because I was raised by who I was. The sad part about that is I want men to get to that point. I want men to have a lot of mental fortitude in a relationship. Like Sandman says, there's simps, there's gimps, and there's pimps. you basically want to be the pimp. When it comes to relationships, there's 3 types of men in a relationship: a simp, a gimp, or a pimp. The reason why it's called a gimp is basically he's not quite a pimp, but he's basically trying to hobble his ass across the line because he's been hit one too many times, basically, and he's barely hanging on and he's barely making it. A pimp, he don't get hit at all. It's like basically like Jay-Z's brush your shoulder off, or me being nonchalant to anybody, basically, or Samsonite luggage on deck with your name on it because I no longer care about you in a relationship. The sad part about that is when it comes to relationships, like I said, most of the men who commit suicide in a relationship or off themselves in a relationship or after a relationship, when it breaks up or goes south, are men who believe in happy wife, happy life, or believe in a Disney princess or Disney fairy tale shit, sadly. Or men who feel as though they don't have any purpose anymore because their purpose is gone. You see what I'm saying? Those are typically the men who off themselves when it comes to relationships. Happy wife, happy life. Men that no longer have a purpose anymore in anybody's life because their purpose is gone and been snatched away from them. The sad part about relationships when it comes to men is you don't want to be the simp or the gimp. You want to be the pimp in a relationship. So when anything goes south, you're not even emotionally bothered by this shit. You're not. I've been told many times that women that they would date me, but they're scared that I wouldn't care about them. Or they would date me, but they don't think I really love them the way they would love me. Because they basically want somebody that's going to simp for them. They basically want somebody that's going to be all for them. They want somebody who's going to be all you, baby, you all day, baby. But I'm not. I'm really not. I'm not. The sad part about that, in this dating era, if anybody shouldn't be in a relationship, my black ass shouldn't be in a relationship because I look at it like this. Either you're with me or you're against me when it comes to dating. Oh, that's how you feel? Keep it moving. And the sad part about that is when it comes down to it, I was taught by, you can't say, well, that's just masculinity and this, that, and the other, and this, that, and the other. No, my grandma taught me this shit. My mom taught me this shit mentally. I'm not going to be bothered by somebody leaving my life. If that's how, because somebody really asked me the one time, if your significant other left you, how would you feel? That's her choice. You can leave anytime you want to. The door's open. Literally what I said. Door's open. She can leave anytime you want to. Door's open. Well, don't you care about her? Yeah. But if she decides that she wants to leave, you're her body, her choice. She keep it moving. Well, that means you don't care. No, I care. I care as long as she stays. I don't care if she leaves. You see what I'm saying? Only care as long as she stays. The minute she leaves, I no longer care. All that stuff, everything, out the window. I no longer care. I don't care to cry for you. I don't care to ask you back. I'm not finna call you 99 times. I'm not finna do none of that shit. I don't care. That's your choice. You chose it. Live with it. Sleep in the bed that you made, basically. That's exactly how I feel when it comes to breakups and women, basically. You chose the decision. I didn't choose it for you. You can't be mad at me for not choosing it, for stopping you, basically. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to stop somebody who really wants to go. It is what it is. And if a person wants to play and act like they want to go, the question is, do they really want to be with you? Well, because the sad part about that, think of it like this. Women will do this shit to shit test you. The sad part about that is I know women who literally said to me, and I quote, well, Tico, I'm leaving. Okay. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. They'll like literally walk out the door, wait like minutes to see if I come out the door, and I'll be sitting there eating and watching TV like them bitches just didn't leave. Like, like it didn't happen. Sad part about that is it kind of reminds me of children. When they say they're going to run away from home and they stand on the porch, that's exactly women when they give you a shit test. They're basically just standing on a fucking porch. They're hoping that you'll run on like, no, baby, don't go. Yeah, so they can know they got you, basically. The minute you do that, they know they got you. They know they got control over you. That's typically how this shit works in relationships. So the minute you run out there like, no, baby, I miss you, don't go. She knows that she's in control of the relationship. She knows that you need her and you see her as a higher value than you should at that moment in time. The minute you let a woman walk away, she realizes she doesn't mean shit. Now, the value that she had in her mind when she was all bold shrinks down to nothing. Because the sad part about that, for you to get these shit tests, she obviously believes that she's higher value than you for you to even remotely get a shit test. So anytime a woman walks up to you and goes, so what if I leave? Okay, that's fine. You left. Then what? Well, what would you do? Live my life. What do you want me to do? You expect me to chase after you? No, I got shit I need to do. I got this money to make. Less of a distraction in my life now. Well, don't you care? Yeah, I care as long as you stay. The minute you leave, I don't care anymore. That blows women's mind right there. When you literally say that shit to women, that blows a fucking woman's mind. Because she realized at that moment in time, when she thought she had some value or she thought she was better than you, she wasn't shit. She just got destroyed. And the sad part about that, she got destroyed without you even having to call her out her name, telling her she's stupid, telling her any of this stuff. You just destroyed her way faster, way better, and way easier by doing it that way. Because there's most men that would try to lower women's self-esteem by calling them names, call them out their name, tell them they'll never be shit without them. All this, I ain't got time for that shit. I don't got time for that shit. We'll sum it up after one question or one shit test. Well, what if I cheat on you? What if you're not coming back? Literally, legit what I'll say to a woman. Well, what if it's an accident? I don't believe in accidents. Accidents only happen is an icicle in a car accident. Was it an icicle? Was it a car accident? Then it wasn't an accident. If you weren't in a freak accident, and it wasn't an icicle that fell on your fucking head, then I really don't give a fuck what your excuse is. You did wrong. You're done. Well, can't we work it out? No, we can't work it out. What if we had children? It don't matter. Your ass can still go. It is what it is. If you have the wherewithal to fuck up like that, you have the wherewithal to take your ass on and not come back and never talk to me again. Lose my number. Don't call me. Don't give a fuck about you. Don't care to talk to you. Don't care to hear from you. Don't care to hear about your life. Don't care if your life is shitty. Don't care if you got beaten and robbed. Don't care nothing about you. You created this. You got to live with it now. So if you get robbed and beaten up, don't call me. If you go to jail for some stupid reason, don't call me. If you think I care enough to help you or anything, I want you to think again and not call me. That's exactly my mentality when it comes to people who are in and out of my life. You're not going to be, when you leave, you leave for good. You don't leave for a second. You don't leave for, because at the end of the day, I have this thing where I say, I don't befriend exes. I don't befriend exes at all. At all. So once you leave, we will never be friends. I will never talk to you again. You can't believe, you're not even allowed to breathe the same airspace as me. We can't be in the same room. We can't be at the same place. I don't like you enough to care if your life goes to shit. I don't care if you have a financial problem. I don't give a fuck if you got a person chasing you. I don't give a fuck about any of that shit. You're gone. You don't matter to me. You're basically another number in another. You're basically like your employer, the way your employer sees you. You're another number in a person. You're another number in a face to me, basically. You're of no importance to me. I don't care enough to help you. I don't care enough to do anything for you. That's exactly how it is, sadly. But the sad part about that is women got so much power, they believe that they can do anything and be anything and be all this great shit and manipulate men and get everything they want because they've been sold a false lie. The sad part about that is you don't start seeing that fairy tale that they were sold until the middle of the relationship or the end of the relationship when she's divorced you and taking all your shit. I never let a woman get that far. Because I'm not finna lose shit. Like my grandma said, we parts with nothing. We parts with nothing. With nothing. With nothing. That's exactly how it is. We parts with nothing. But when it gets to this point, that's usually like marriage and, you know, monogamy and relationships. Sadly, like I said, at the end of the day, women come into relationships with a fantasy. Men come into relationships with realistic expectations. Women come into relationships with fantastical, exorbitant expectations and fantasies. They expect it to go a certain way. When it don't go a certain way, they get disappointed and they want to leave. Men come in with realistic expectations. And then you'll hear women that'll complain about that men have unrealistic expectations for women. Really? 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 A man's expectations in a relationship is be a good mom, provide constant sex or consistent sex, and be over to like feed those same children in the household without feeding them junk food and fast food. That's basically a man's expectations for a woman in a relationship. Oh, and loyalty. Loyalty and be there and support them, basically. That's all a man's expectations is in the marriage. A woman's expectations in the marriage is Prince Charming, live in a nice big house, nice big fence, be the envy of all the women in the neighborhood, have a better ring than her, have better cars than her, have better kids than her, her kids go to a better school than her, she go to a better country club than her. Now, mind you, half these bitches don't even do anything at the country club besides gloat about what their husbands do and what they got at the end of the day. I have yet to see a bitch actually play a bit of golf at a country club. I legit kid you not. They might play some tennis, but if they're playing tennis, they're probably banging a tennis instructor. Let's just keep it 100. She's banging a tennis instructor. There's a reason why these porn movies actually exist. What's it called? Rule 38? If it doesn't exist, it exists now. The sad part about that is those tennis instructor videos or anything from a country club where they do a fancy thing with the women. Those are all things that are from a woman's mind. Those are things. Remember their penthouse stories? Those are those. Those are exactly those. Their penthouse. Those are exactly those, basically. Yeah. So don't let them fool you. Women are just as sexually hungry as men are. Some are even more sexually hungry than men. The sad part about that, like I was saying in the beginning of this video, is if she's not having sex with you, she's having sex with somebody else, or she's thinking about having sex with somebody else at the end of the day. So they're basically trying to maneuver that chess piece into place so they can get their fix, basically. Because she's looking to put somebody in that place, basically. Because at the end of the day, women expect 6 different men to be in one man. At the end of the day, he has to be able to fix a car. He has to be able to fix a house. He has to be a clown and make her laugh. He has to be able to give her the good sex every single night of the week. He has to have a big dick and satisfy her. And she has to always be happy. And he has to pay for all this stuff while he's doing it too. He has to provide the nice house, the nice cars, the other shit, the big rock on her head, the expensive ass wedding that pretty much is a down payment to a house anymore these days. Shit like that. He has to provide all that. Think about that. But all a man wants from a woman is loyalty, a great mother, a great partner, consistent sex, to be taken care of, food-wise, emotionally and supported. He wants to be taken care of emotionally, his belly, mentally, and supported, basically. To a woman's list of demands over here. You want a man to be able to do all this, but you can't even cook. You want a man to be able to do all this and more, but you can't even be a good mom. You want a man to be able to do all this and more, but you can't even articulate to him what a problem is. You got to talk to it with your friends, and he's got to find out from somebody else. You want a man to be able to do all this shit over here, but you can't even do any simple things, simple tasks, without complaining or bitching. But the sad part about that is if he's bitching about any of these tasks or any of these expectations or fantasies that you place on him, he's not a real man. But you can't even boil water. Does that make you not a real woman? You don't even want to take care of your children. Does that make you not a real woman? I know people that can't even, I know men nowadays that are raised by a single mother that don't even know how to fucking change a tire. A tire. A tire. I know men these days that are raised by single mothers who can't even change oil. Fuck changing oil. Who doesn't even know how to check oil. Know where the dipstick is to pull out, check it, clean it off, and dip it back in there to see where the oil level is, or if it's dirty, if it's clean, if it's any of that shit, basically. If it's even not, if it even exists in the first place. I know a lot of children that can't even do that. Boys that are raised by single mothers that can't even do that. It's sad. And the sad part about that is a woman's more likely to, a single mother is more likely to complain about needing car repairs than a single father or a man in general. If you ever noticed that. Because the last time I ever heard a woman complain, she was complaining about the fucking the labor costs. The cost of labor for fixing her car. Now, typically anywhere, Pennsylvania, labor cost is anywhere between $47 and $150 in Pennsylvania, give or take. Now, that labor cost varies place to place or any other place, but typically the cheapest you can get is $47. Now, this bitch complained about labor costs costing $50. That is the lowest you can one of the lowest you could possibly get it in Pennsylvania. $50. $50. And she's complaining about the labor costs for that. Think about that. If a man can't fix something, it's either out of his realm of capabilities or he really doesn't have the time to do it. Typically, a lot of men in my age range, typically either they don't have the time to actually do it themselves, or it's something that wasn't in a car when you were learning how to fix a car when you were a child, basically. So now you got to do extra shit to get this out. Like a good example, I forget the actual car. When you change your alternator, you got to pull the whole entire fucking engine out of the damn thing just to change your alternator. When you got to change the fan belt, you got to pull the whole entire fucking engine and the alternator out of the bitch just to change the fan belt. Now, I know there's some people in there that say, I know what car you're talking about, Tico. I know what car you're talking about. There's some that are like, well, what do you mean? Hasn't that always been like that? No, it hasn't always been like that. You ever notice you don't drive around with cars with the gas tank coming out from the back of the fucking the license plate, right? Shit wasn't always like it was. And people that know what I'm talking about now about the gas tank in the back of the fucking car, but where you pump gas right behind the license plate, they know exactly what I'm talking about. There's some people like, well, you don't know what you're talking about, Tico. That's never been a thing. Oh, trust me, it has. I'm pretty sure either Hammerhand or Quiet Earp can tell you about that type of car. And people who grew up with people with those cars can tell you about those cars. Cars have changed a lot, yes. I get that. But the sad part about that is it's only changed because the car dealerships and the car manufacturers want to make it hard because they want you to have to come in and get it fixed by them instead of you doing it yourself. Because at the end of the day, they lose money on you being able to do it yourself versus you bringing it into them. So they make shit like this more complicated and more time consuming, so you have to pay them more money. That's another stream for another day, but Typically, that's how that works. Is if you're a man in this day and age. So 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have the time to do it because it's probably going to take you. If you look at it from their perspective, it's probably going to take you 2, 3, 4, 5 labor hours basically to do it. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, there's shit like that actually happens. There's shit like that actually is actually a thing because people. There's people who think of shit to make it complicated just so they can bring all the money back under one roof, or so you have no choice but to come to those people to get your shit fixed. Sadly, that's how people think. That's how people are. People want their money. It's a capitalist country, basically. Crony capitalism at its finest. Not capitalism, crony capitalism at its finest. This is why, if you ever notice in this day and age, this is why cars are a bit cheaper and the parts for the cars are a bit more expensive. I'm not talking about foreign cars. If anybody owned a foreign car, you always knew the parts were expensive as fuck. I'm talking about actually cars like, GM and fucking Ford. They're more expensive now because, the parts are more expensive now. They're actually literally running like they were foreign cars, basically. They're actually running at damn near the same rate as foreign cars now. Parts are more expensive and the car's a bit cheaper. Or parts are more expensive and a car's a bit more expensive. So they can justify, or they got a lot of nonsense in the car just so they can justify charging you this much money to buy the car, basically. And then on the back end, they're dicking you down with the repairs on the car, sadly. Because how many men in this day and age who are actually very busy men actually have time to rip apart a car at the end of the day? Think about that. Not too many. Hell, I barely have time to actually work on my cars half the time. But it's set up that way just so you have to bring it in because they work off the premise that the man is working and he's too busy to actually deal with it. So therefore, he'll subcontract the work out to us. That's how society works. But in a relationship, typically, 9 times out of 10, if a man doesn't know how to do it, if a man's not doing it, it's one of 3 reasons. A, he doesn't have the time. B, he was raised by a single mother, so he definitely doesn't know shit about it. Because I've actually met people who literally don't know how to change a tire. Who can't change a tire, who really don't know how to change a tire to save their life. I met a young kid. He's like 23-ish. Anytime anything goes wrong with his dad, with his car, he literally calls his dad out to come fix his car. Literally calls his dad out to come fix his car. That's how entitled this kid is. He's never had to do the shit. So he has his, anytime he needs a tire changed, he needs to know what's going on, he'll have his dad come out and do it. This is the society we live in with men. This is what single mothers are raising, sadly. It is what it is. But, they claim it's hard to be a single mother, but, if it's hard, you should probably let somebody help you. That's my exact thoughts on it when it comes to parenting. If it's hard, you probably need help, and you should probably let that person help you. It is what it is. And that's the psychology of women. They basically like things to be as hard as humanly possible so they complain about it and get praised for it at the same time. Relationships, anything. They basically, anytime a woman talks negatively about you, she's already building a case against you in a relationship. So if you're in a relationship with a woman and she opens her mouth and nothing, and most of the shit that come out of it is negative, she's already building a case against you. So when she breaks up with you, everybody's on her side at the end of the day. That's the psychology of women in a nutshell. She's building a case against you to all these other people. That way everybody's like, oh, you go, girl. You're a powerful girl. You do this, girl. He was a dog, girl. He wasn't treating you right, girl. He wasn't doing this, girl. Because women like praise. Women like attention. Women like all this stuff. They like to feel good. Even if none of that shit is actually going on in a relationship, they want people to feel bad for them, and they want people to feel guilty for them, and they want to hear all these good things from people, even if the shit's not going on. I know a lot of relationships where shit like that's not going on, but they're complaining like it is going on in a relationship, sadly. It is what it is. So, the sad part about that is at the end of the day, this is women's psychology in a relationship. If she's complaining about you to her friends and everybody else around you, she's basically making a case for everybody to believe her. For everybody to hashtag believe her. So when she leaves you, everybody's willing to help her and look at you like you're the villain or you're the villain, basically. But the sad part about that is we live in a society where shit like this happens on a regular basis and it gets swept under the damn rug. What's up, Threads, aka For the Love of God? Yeah, to have a mother and a father to raise you both is a true privilege in this society. If you're a child, you're getting done the best service if you're getting both parents. You're getting a disservice if you only have one parent. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about the ones who lost their husbands to a freak accident or military accident, basically. And when I say military accident, I don't mean like it was an accident, basically. I mean like if they were doing their jobs and an insurgent shot them or something like that, or friendly fire, or wherever the heck they use nowadays for this shit. If that happens, then you basically know that you're not in this category, sadly, as a woman. If you're a widow or a widower, a widow, and you didn't have anything to do with your husband's murder or death, then I commend you for raising your children by yourself. If you did have something to do with your husband's death, then you can pretty much go to hell. You're the reason why your children are about to be fucked up, in other words. But if you're a single mother because you're widowed and you have nothing to do with it, and it just happened and it was a freak accident at work or on a job or anything like that, or on his way home or September 11th or any freak accident like that, then I tip my hat to you at the end of the day. But the sad part about that is when it comes down to it, like I said about my friend who was in a relationship with this woman who is having his children, he was the very last person to know. That's how important men are in relationships. Everybody else found out about it early in the morning. She found out about it last night by phone. Her friends found out it the next morning. He found out about it at 10 o'clock at night. Her excuse for not telling them was, again, well, I didn't want to do this by text message. Well, why don't you just call me? Well, that's something that you should do in person. So she's basically making up all these excuses to let you know you're not that important to tell by a phone. The problem with that story is she had no problem blowing up your phone in the morning to tell you that she's pregnant and she took a pregnancy test. Now, after her doctor's appointments and, getting the confirmation, now it's something that she can't do by phone. She has to do it in person. See what I'm saying? When the pregnancy test popped positive, and she was unsure, you could be told by phone. The minute she gets confirmation, you're not important enough to tell by phone, but everybody else is, and everybody else is important to tell, and you're important enough to tell at 10 o'clock at night because she told you to wait. Think about that for a second. You have to wait to hear news like this. Something that's going to affect your life. Something that you helped create with this woman. That's how important you are in a relationship, sadly. And if a woman treats you like that and she doesn't see it, then she's not a good woman and she's a low quality woman and she's a low value woman. If you're the last person to know about anything like this, she's a low quality woman and you're not important to her in the least bit at the end of the day. If you're last to know, or if you're not first to know about any fucking thing, you're not important. You're not an important part of our life. You're a secondary part of our life or a tertiary part of our life. You're not important at all. Everybody else is more important than you to hear information, and you got to hear it last minute or through somebody else. I know a lot of men who found out information. I know a lot of men that found out that their wife was pregnant or girlfriend was pregnant through her friends or other people or on social media. Secondhand that she was pregnant. I know a lot of men that found out that, she was unhappy and by secondhand. Like, you're not important to talk to about it, but everybody else is, and shit like that. I know men that found out that that didn't find out at all that she was unhappy the whole entire time and got served divorce papers because you're not important to talk to as a man anymore these days. You're basically when you get married to a woman, you're basically a third-rate citizen. You're basically an illegal alien applying for citizenship in her own little world, basically, at the end of the day. That's exactly the psychology of women. If you're not put up in any importance to a woman, or your only importance when she's feeling some type of way or wants something, then you're really not in a good relationship. You're in she's a selfish narcissist, basically, at that point in time. But as I said, I took up enough of your time. Y'all be good to yourselves, treat yourselves like milk the number, spoil yourselves, and always be a better version of yourselves, man or woman or child, Apache helicopter, transgender, any 23 frickin' genders. Always improve upon yourself and make yourself a better version of yourself anytime. That's what I preach on this channel. At the end of the day, make yourself a better version of yourself. And always spoil yourself. Don't overindulge. Do it when you actually deserve it or earned it at the end of the day. Y'all be good to yourselves and be blessed.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Lovely.
Is that lovely?
Pretty sexy. Baby, don't leave
No, I
me.
want to.
Du där nu som inte fläkt i sig släkten. Där hade din mamma det du inte.